The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Know more, understand better, think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays, 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of. A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA. Join the conversation.
Asia. Good evening, America. You're watching World DNA with me, Jyotsna Kumar.
And I'm Diksha Bisla, and on the show today, federal judge has temporarily blocked President Donald Trump's executive order denying U.S. citizenship to the children of parents living in the country illegally, calling it blatantly unconstitutional during the first hearing in a multi-state effort challenging the order. What happens next? We will get you the details on the show.
And also on the show today, President Donald Trump said he will ask Saudi Arabia and the other OPEC nations to bring down the cost of oil, indicating that high prices will continue to the war, referring to the Russia-Ukraine war. The U.S. President's appearance via video at the World Economic Forum marked his first address to a global audience since his inauguration earlier this week. We'll get you all the details on the show, but first, the headlines.
U.S. federal judge puts temporary block on President Donald Trump's attempt to restrict birthright citizenship, imposes a 14-day stay on enforcement of the executive order, which was slated to take effect in February.
One thing very important, I really would like to be able to meet with President Putin soon and get that war ended. And that's not from the standpoint of economy or anything else.
U.S. President Donald Trump says he wants to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin soon to secure an end to the almost 3-year-old war with Ukraine.
Donald Trump says he hopes to avoid military strikes on Iran's nuclear program, an option long mulled by Israel. U.S. President says it will be nice if that could be worked out without taking any such step.
Hundreds of people leave their homes in the Jenin refugee camp as the Israeli army operation continues into its third day. IDF says the operation is aimed at countering Iranian-backed militant groups in the West Bank city.
British teenager Axel Ruda Cubana jailed for life for killing 3 young girls in a stabbing spree. Judge orders him to serve a minimum of 52 years.
Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto arrives on 3-day visit to India to participate in the Republic Day celebrations as chief guest. He is the 4th Indonesian president to attend India's Republic Day celebrations.
Manchester United denies Scottish side Rangers a famous draw at Old Trafford in the Europa League. Skipper Bruno Fernandes scores a stoppage time winner as the Red Devils take a big step towards the last 16.
Now, top story on World DNA. U.S. President Donald Trump addressed the World Economic Forum in Davos in Switzerland via video conference.
He told the forum that he wants to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin soon to secure an end to the war with Ukraine.
One thing very important, I really would like to be able to meet with President Putin soon and get that war ended. And that's not from the standpoint of economy or anything else. It's from the standpoint of millions of lives are being wasted. Beautiful young people are being shot in the battlefield.
During his campaign, Trump had repeatedly vowed that he will have a deal in place between Ukraine and Russia on his first day in office. Now, Trump said at the WEF that U.S. efforts to secure a peace settlement are now underway, but gave no details. He added that he sees a very good relationship between the U.S. and China, hoping that Beijing can help him end the war.
Trump also asserted he wants to lower global oil prices, saying that he would end the war immediately. He said he will ask Saudi Arabia and OPEC to bring down the cost of oil. Oil prices turned negative as Trump spoke.
And I'm also going to ask Saudi Arabia and OPEC to bring down the cost of oil. You got to bring it down, which, frankly, I'm surprised they didn't do before the election. That didn't show a lot of love by them not doing it. I was a little surprised by that. If the price came down, the Russia-Ukraine war would end immediately.
Trump also said that he will be requesting Saudi Arabia to invest $1 trillion into the U.S. The Republican laid out a carrot-and-stick approach for private investment in the U.S., promising global elites lower taxes if they bring manufacturing to the U.S. and threatening to impose tariffs if they don't.
Now, just days after taking the office, Trump used the address to vow that he will reverse inflation and illegal immigration while boosting fossil fuel production in the U.S. He added that he would focus on deregularization while extending tax cuts passed during his first term, as he aims to make America a manufacturing hub.
Now, these remarks are the first of Trump's four-day-old presidency, and they come at a time when markets are on edge over his plans for broad tariffs on imported goods.
For more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani has sent us this report. Listen to this.
President Donald Trump addressed the World Economic Forum, laying out his bold economic plans. He pledged to lower inflation and interest rates by cutting taxes, regulations, and energy costs while urging businesses to manufacture here in the United States. His first foreign leader call was with the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, securing a $600 billion investment in the United States with hopes of reaching $1 trillion. Trump also called on OPEC to lower oil prices to weaken Russia's position in the Ukraine war. He criticized EU's trade practices, warning of tariffs regarding European goods, and pushed NATO allies to increase their defense spending. All in all, his message: America is open for business under a new leadership. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
And a federal judge has put a temporary block on U.S. President Donald Trump's attempt to restrict birthright citizenship.
The ruling imposed a 14-day stay on the enforcement of one of the most controversial executive orders Trump has signed in the hours after he was sworn into office for a second term.
Now, a U.S. district judge was reported as saying during the hearing in Washington state that this is a blatantly unconstitutional order. I've been on the bench for over 4 decades. I can't remember another case where the question presented is as clear as this is.
We are thrilled that the court saw the seriousness and the urgency of the complaints and requests for a temporary restraining order brought by the state of Washington, Oregon, Arizona, and Illinois, and are thrilled that the judge issued a temporary restraining order directing the United States government to take no further action in enforcing and implementing the unconstitutional and un-American executive order attempting to eliminate birthright citizenship in America. This is step one, but to hear the judge from the bench say that in his 40 years as a judge, he has never seen something so blatantly unconstitutional sets the tone for the seriousness of this effort.
Now, the ruling comes after a flurry of lawsuits filed by 22 states, 2 cities, and numerous civic rights groups. It was hailed by states that took part in the legal actions. Trump told reporters his administration would appeal the ruling, while the Department of Justice said it would defend the executive order, presenting a full merits argument to the court.
Birthright citizenship is enshrined in the U.S. Constitution under the 14th Amendment, which mandates that anyone born on U.S. soil is a citizen. Now, Trump's order was premised on the idea that anyone in the U.S. illegally or on visa was not subject to the jurisdiction of the country and therefore excluded from this category.
Meanwhile, U.S. President Trump ordered the declassification of the list secret files on the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, a case that still fuels conspiracy theories more than 60 years after his death. Trump signed an executive order that will also release documents on the 1960s assassinations of John F. Kennedy's younger brother, Robert F. Kennedy, and civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr.
Now, Trump told reporters as he signed the order in the Oval Office of the White House that everything will be revealed.
That's a big one, huh? A lot of people are waiting for this for years, for decades. And everything will be revealed.
Trump had previously promised to release the last of the files most recently at his inauguration on Monday.
The U.S. President Donald Trump has said that he hopes to avoid military strikes on Iran's nuclear program.
This is contrary to the position taken by the ally Israel.
Now, Trump said the Iranian nuclear issue could be worked out without having to worry about it. Asked if he would support military action against Iranian nuclear facilities, Trump told reporters that it would be really nice if it could be worked out without having to go that further step. He added that he will speak to very high-level people about the issue, but did not specify who they would be.
Further, on diplomatic prospects with Iran, Trump said he hopes that Iran will make a deal, but it's okay if they don't. Remember, during this first term, Trump had withdrawn from a nuclear deal negotiation under former President Barack Obama.
Now, he had instead imposed sweeping sanctions, winning praise from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who calls Tehran's government an existential threat.
Trump has in the past vowed maximum pressure on Iran. In 2020, he has also ordered a strike that killed senior Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in Baghdad.
But since then, winning his second presidency, Trump has backed off on calls for wider military action. He has in fact distanced himself from advisors who chose a hawkish course on Iran.
After his election victory, reports claim that his confidant Elon Musk met a senior Iranian official to seek to defuse tensions.
Now, as Israel mulls the options of military action against Iran, it will be eyeing whether or not this potential move would be backed by Washington.
As the Israeli military operation in the Jenin refugee camp stretched into its fourth day.
Now, this comes as a large number of Palestinian families began to evacuate their homes, heeding warnings from Israeli soldiers and drones.
According to the Palestinian Health Ministry, since the assault, which began on January 21st, at least 12 Palestinians have been killed and more than 40 were injured.
Now, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated that the objective of the operation dubbed Iron Wall was to eradicate terrorism in the area.
Meanwhile, Israeli government spokesperson David Mencer has denied all the allegations that evacuation orders have been issued for people to leave Jenin in the northern West Bank.
There have been no evacuation orders for the people of Jenin. People that live in Jenin, not connected with terrorism, are free to leave, to get away from our action, but there has been no evacuation orders whatsoever. That is unfortunately fake news, probably being spread by supporters of Hamas.
Furthermore, on the first phase of the Israel-Hamas ceasefire agreement, Hamas officials have stated that the group will soon provide Israel with the names of 4 hostages scheduled for release. The second hostage prisoner exchange is set to take place on Saturday afternoon, when Hamas is expected to release 4 women, including both soldiers and civilians. Now, meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump announced that the Gaza hostage ceasefire deal he helped finalize should hold.
According to the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, a total of 653 aid trucks entered the Gaza Strip on the 5th day of the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas.
The UN reported that large volumes of humanitarian aid continue to enter Gaza through various crossings, including Erez and Zikim in the north, as well as Kerem Shalom in the south.
According to reports, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has requested an extension of 30 days from the United States to complete the withdrawal of Israeli troops from southern Lebanon.
And this comes after Israel is just 2 days away from the 60-day deadline set by the ceasefire agreement with Hezbollah, which requires Israeli forces to withdraw from southern Lebanon by January 26th. Now, Hezbollah has firmly stated that any failure by Israel to meet this deadline will not be tolerated, and has urged the Lebanese government to take action if Israel attempts to delay its withdrawal.
And Yemen's Houthi rebels have accused US of designating them as a terrorist group due to their support for the Palestinian people. Now, this accusation comes after the US President Donald Trump signed an executive order officially labeling the Houthis as a foreign terrorist organization.
This designation reverses a previous decision by President Joe Biden, who had lifted the terrorist label in 2021 due to humanitarian concerns for the Yemeni people amid the ongoing conflict and famine in the region. A British teenager who murdered 3 young girls at a Taylor Swift-themed dance event has been jailed for at least 52 years.
The prosecutors said that the atrocity was so violent it appeared he had tried to decapitate one of the victims.
Now, actor Ruda Cubana, aged 18, admitted carrying out the killings last July in northern English town of Southport, a crime which was followed by days of nationwide rioting.
The court was shown a video of the suspect arriving at the Heart Space venue in a taxi and entering the building, following which screams erupted and children ran outside in panic, some of them wounded.
Ruda Cubana will likely spend the rest of his life in jail for the murders of 6-year-old Bebe King, 7-year-old Elise Dot, and 9-year-old Alice Da Silva, who were among 26 children attending the summer vacation event.
He also pleaded guilty to 10 charges of attempted murder, as well as to producing the deadly poison ricin and processing an Al-Qaeda training manual. The judge sentenced Ruda Cubana in his absence after he refused to return to court, having twice been removed for interrupting the hearing.
The harm that Ruda Cubana has caused to each family, each child, and to the community has been profound and permanent. For the families of Elsie, Bibi and Alice, they will never recover from what happened to their daughter. For those children and the adults that he attempted to murder, their lives will never be the same.
Now, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said that the murder of these young girls in Southport last July shows that Britain faces a new type of terrorism threat in the form of extreme violence perpetrated by loners who were inspired online.
The tragedy of the Southport killings must be a line in the sand for Britain. We must make sure the names of those 3 young girls are not associated with the vile perpetrator, but instead with a fundamental change in how Britain protects its citizens and its children.
In other news, in South Africa, researchers found that 4 out of every 10 pupils who enroll in grade 1 exit the schooling system before finishing matric.
Now, this is just one of the concerning findings of the Schools Dropout 2024 survey.
The report, launched by Zero Dropout campaign, has highlighted a range of issues responsible for high school dropout rates. They include pregnancy, drug abuse, financial struggles, peer pressure, and pupils not coping academically. The campaign says it has been working with various stakeholders over the past 5 years to bring down dropout numbers.
One of the key findings and contributors to dropout in South Africa was issues such as teenage pregnancy, academic challenges, financial difficulty, and of course, bullying and harassment. There are a lot of issues that are clearly systemic in nature and require interventions of varying types and to varying degrees.
In 2022, for instance, nearly 1.2 million children entered grade 1, but fewer than 580,000 learners were registered to write their matric exams 12 years later. In 2023, a similar trend continued. Of over 1.2 million children who entered grade 1 in 2012, only some 740,000 enrolled for grade 12 in 2023. And that means nearly 470,000 children dropped out of the system before reaching their final year of schooling. Now, that's a rate of 39% students dropping out. Now, activists and workers have identified poverty as one of the major reasons for rising dropouts. Many students are unable to afford school fees, transport charges, stationery, and uniforms.
If I may ask.
Moving to Afghanistan, signs of the Taliban under pressure to fall in line. The Taliban's acting deputy foreign minister recently called on his senior leadership to reopen schools for Afghan girls.
Now, his voice reflects a strong public rebuke of a policy that has contributed to the Taliban's international isolation. Here's more in our next report.
Moving on to Afghanistan.
there's growing pressure for the Taliban to fall in line. The country's acting deputy foreign minister has urged the top leadership to reopen girls' schools. His voice comes amidst growing international rebuke of a country's policy that has led Afghanistan into isolation. Here's more.
For the first time, a voice for muzzled women's rights from within the Taliban government. The Deputy Foreign Minister for Political Affairs, the influential Sher Mohammad Abbas Stanikzai, put out a strong public rebuke of a policy that remains a big cause for the Taliban's international isolation. Stanikzai called on the Taliban to open the doors of education to all, saying restriction on girls' and women's education was not in line with Islamic Sharia law. He pointed at injustice being committed against 20 million out of the country's 40 million people, the female population. As he stressed that knowledge was open to both men and women in the time of the Prophet. This was a Taliban response at last to U-turns on promises to open high schools for girls, closure of universities to female students at the end of 2022, and absence of any timeline for changes. The policies have come in for flack globally, including by Islamic scholars. Western diplomats have pointed out that any path towards formal recognition of the Taliban remains blocked until there is a change on their policies towards women. To that end, locals see the change of regime in the US as a pressure source for the Taliban towards change and corrections.
I think a lot of our politicians think Trump is a good choice. He won with a lot of votes. I also believe that there could be a general change for girls' education and that there could be opportunities for them because we all need them. Women don't represent half of society, but society as a whole. So if there is a general change in women's education, it will be extraordinary.
At a summit on girls' education in Muslim communities held in Islamabad earlier this month, Nobel laureate and rights activist Malala Yousafzai urged Muslim leaders not to legitimize the Afghan Taliban government and to show true leadership over their assault on women's rights.
And in Afghanistan, an entire generation of girls is being robbed of their future. This conference will not be serving its purpose if we do not talk about the education of Afghan girls. Because Afghanistan is the only country in the world where girls are completely banned from education beyond grade 6.
So are things finally headed in the right direction on education rights for girls in Afghanistan? An outcry against the Taliban's excesses against women has gained more prominence now than ever before. Can the voice for corrections from within the Taliban make the much-needed difference?
Well, that's all on this side of World DNA. Do stay tuned. News and updates will be continuing on the other side of World DNA. Stay tuned.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
As India celebrates its Republic Day, we tell you how patriotism has evolved in Indian cinema.
तिहाड़ में ऐसी पता नहीं कितनी कहानियां हैं.
Meet the creators of Black Warrant as the series trends online. And find out some rare facts about Indian actor Saif Ali Khan, who was recently attacked in an alleged burglary attempt. All this and much more with me, Isha Hanspal, at these times only on WION E-Club.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
This week on Inside South Asia, the United States of America has a new man in the White House. What does Trump 2.0 mean for South Asia? Are there signs of hope for Afghan girls at last? Taliban's acting deputy foreign minister calls for girls' high schools to open. And how prepared is Pakistan for the ICC Champions Trophy? A look at the preparation of venues. All this and much more on Inside South Asia.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Know more? Understand better? Think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast.
On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists.
Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays, 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching World DNA. We have lots lined up for you on this side of the show, but first, a quick check on the headlines.
Governor of Russia's Ryazan region says emergency crews are dealing with aftermath of attack on Ryazan town as air defense units destroyed drones in the region. An oil refinery and a power station reportedly hit in the attack.
One thing very important, I really would like to be able to meet with President Putin soon and get that war ended. And that's not from the standpoint of economy or anything else.
US President Donald Trump says he wants to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin soon to secure an end to the almost 3-year-old long war with Ukraine.
U.S. federal judge puts temporary block on President Donald Trump's attempt to restrict birthright citizenship, imposes a 14-day stay on enforcement of the executive order, which was slated to take effect in February.
Donald Trump says he hopes to avoid military strikes on Iran's nuclear program, an option long mulled by Israel. US President says it will be nice if that could be worked out without taking any such step.
Hundreds of people leave their homes in the Jenin refugee camp as Israeli army operation continues. IDF says the operation is aimed at countering Iranian-backed militant groups in the West Bank city.
British teenager Axel Rudakubana jailed for life for killing 3 young girls in a stabbing spree. Judge orders him to serve a minimum of 52 years.
Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto arrives on a 3-day visit to India to participate in Republic Day celebrations as chief guest. He is the 4th Indonesian president to attend India's Republic Day.
Wildfire breaks out in California's Otay Mountain area, prompting an immediate response from firefighters. The blaze, dubbed Border 2 Fire, scorched 222 acres that remain completely uncontained.
Manchester United denies Scottish side Rangers a famous draw at the Old Trafford in the Europa League. Skipper Bruno Fernandes scores a stoppage time winner as the Red Devils take a big step towards the last 16.
We have the top story coming in from Pakistan, where political talks have hit a deadlock once again in Pakistan. PTI chairman Barrister Gauhar Ali Khan has announced that the party is calling off negotiations with the government as directed by Imran Khan.
Now, the reason for stalling the negotiations, according to the party, was the Pakistan government's failure to form the promised judicial commissions to investigate the 9th May and 26th November incidents.
Now, for weeks, the PTI and government have been engaging in dialogue to reduce political tensions in the country. Despite 3 rounds of talk and a formal charter of demands, there has been little progress on key issues, which include the formation of a judicial commission and the release of PTI prisoners.
Now, last week, the government asked for 7 working days to respond. That deadline has passed, and with no commission in place, the PTI says it can no longer continue talks.
Gauhar Ali Khan says the party is still open to dialogue, but only if a 3-judge commission is formed immediately. Until then, the PTI claims it will continue its legal and political struggle, joining forces with other opposition parties. With negotiations at a standstill, what happens next? Will the government act, or is it the end of talks?
The tableau have always been an integral part of India's Republic Day celebrations, as they offer a unique platform to showcase the country's rich cultural heritage and diverse traditions.
WION's correspondent Nikita Singh brings us a report on the key highlights of this year's tableau. Take a look.
This Republic Day will feature 31 tableaus from different states, union territories and different departments and ministries of the central government. And behind me, as you can see, there's a lot of bustling activity where these tableaus are taking shape, and at this stage only a few touches seem to be remaining. Now, tableaus are a major highlight every Republic Day, and they represent their respective states' culture and heritage. We also have a lot of artists who've traveled all the way and will be performing alongside these tableaus.
This year we are focusing on the annual Kharchi Puja. During this Kharchi Puja, what we do is we worship the 14 royal deities. This time what we are doing is since Tripura is very rich in bamboo handicraft, we have decorated our tableau through bamboo handicrafts only. As a token of displaying this cultural troupe, one of the troupe only, we are focusing on this, they are called Damal dancers are there, and these are the chantais, and they will be showcasing the 14 deities.
Ministry of Tribal Affairs tableau has the birth anniversary of Bhagwan Birsa Munda ji, and it's showing a sabha of us being free from the Britishers and the savings of water, land and air. The dance form is also known as Paika. It is originated from Jharkhand, and it's a really beautiful dance form if you ask me. It's really colorful, very vibrant, very joyful, and it is full of energy.
The whole idea behind the tableau is making India understand and make feel the kind of dedication and the commitment the Indian defense ecosystem today to make the country self-reliant. And we are assuring to our country that every idea in our mind could replicate to the system which the country needs up to.
Well, I'm experiencing this beautiful tableau firsthand. This is the tableau from Karnataka, and with me it's Ritik.
So the theme which we have bought from Karnataka is called Lakundi. It's a temple which is located in Gadag. It's also called as the cradle of stone art. So yeah, so we're gonna represent Karnataka through this. Very excited for 26. So yeah, looking forward for a very good performance.
For art and culture this Republic Day on Kartavya Path.
When you think of flowers, how often do you think of the putrid stink of wet socks, hot cat food, or a rotting possum flesh?
Well, perhaps never at all. But for 24 hours, every few years, when the corpse flower blooms, you simply cannot ignore the smelliest flower spike in the world.
This rare and endangered plant, called the corpse flower plant, bloomed for the first time in 15 years at the Royal Botanic Garden in Sydney on Thursday. The flower saw a constant stream of visitors who made their way in long queues through the garden grounds. Some of them queued up for up to 2 hours just to catch a glimpse of and take pictures with the flower.
It's definitely worth the wait. I think it's really good that so many people are interested in such a cool thing, because it's quite niche, but there's so many people here. There's a live stream going on. There's the chats popping off. It's really cool that so many people are into this.
Probably close to like rotten egg or like something of like sulfur, that kind of smell. It's probably the best way I would describe it.
It is no surprise then that the flower is affectionately dubbed Putricia. The plant's scientific name, however, is Titan arum. Now, the plant is only found in the rainforest of western Sumatra and quite in line with its rancid stench of decaying flesh. In Indonesia, it is called bunga bangkai, translating to the corpse flower in Indonesian. And volatility in Indian stocks have been high, with extreme moves on norms so far this year.
While investors continue to stay focused on earning reports from Indian companies, global cues are driving the benchmarks.
Now, for much of last year, Indian stocks defied broader global cues. Only towards the end of the year did that trend change. And this year, Indian shares have mirrored a deep sell-off in global stocks. However, they have not been able to match the rally patterns in world stocks. Now, the earnings momentum is facing several challenges.
Two important issues are hurting India's earnings momentum. First, the profit growth is being hampered by failing demand. And second, the margin increases seen last year have vanished. Companies are using all the available levers for cost cuts, while even their balance sheets are in good shape. Strategists at BNP Paribas have become more concerned about consensus projections for the benchmark gauge profit growth next year.
Now, as investors question if the reported earnings are worth the high prices, stocks that performed well in 2024 are seeing a fall in 2025. For example, Zomato, a darling of modern technology that more than doubled in 2024, has fallen 22% since January 1st.
Oberoi Realty, a prominent real estate firm, has fallen 24% and is seeing losses accelerate following a shortfall on earnings projections. Valuations have been dampened by the recent market sell-off. However, investors are still on guard because they think profit estimates are still too high.
As domestic stocks falter, investors are shifting their focus to large cap firms. Companies with higher market capitalizations can withstand the current sell-off, and this is driven by their greater resilience during extended slowdowns, superior cost management capabilities, and stronger balance sheets. While the large cap index of the BSE has fallen 3% so far this month, it has outperformed the mid and small caps by the largest margin since March.
In other news, millions of Chinese travelers are marking their way home for the Lunar New Year celebrations, marking the start of the Spring Festival travel rush.
Now, officially beginning on January 14, this travel period is expected to last 40 days, concluding on February 22nd.
The week-long Lunar New Year holiday, running from January 28th to February 4th, sees hundreds of millions of people crisscrossing the country to reunite with their families. The annual travel surge serves as a key indicator of China's economic activity and a stress test for its vast transportation network. However, amid the celebration, concerns about job stability and employment prospects are weighing in on so many travelers' minds.
The job market concerns are at the forefront. Liu, a sales professional traveling to Harbin, believes that staying in a big city offers better employment opportunities despite the challenging market conditions. The uncertain economic outlook has left many Chinese citizens weighing their career options, even as they look forward to spending the time with loved ones.
Going forward, I'll still go to live in big cities. I mean, there is no other choice. The employment market everywhere is not very good, but obviously, bigger cities are better in comparison. These years, the economy has declined, making it difficult to earn any money. After the epidemic, it's become even more difficult to earn money and find a job. There are many more unemployed people, and they all say it's more difficult.
The ongoing travel rush is not just about holiday celebrations, but also reflects the underlying economic challenges in China. While transportation hubs are witnessing a surge in travelers, the job market remains a significant concern for many.
Nowadays, there are a lot of talented candidates for job, and there are a lot of people in colleges and universities. As a result, the number of graduates is so high that it is difficult to find a job.
The Lunar Year period often serves as a time for reflection, with individuals reassessing their career paths and financial security. Despite these challenges, the festive spirit remains high as millions journey home, hoping for a brighter year ahead and economic uncertainties. Well, next up, let's take a look at all the developments coming in from the world of technology.
Meta's paid ad-free subscription service for Facebook and Instagram continues to face scrutiny in Europe, despite revisions made in 2023 to comply with EU laws. The European Consumer Organization, or BEUC, claims the changes are superficial. BEUC also alleges users are being misled into consenting to data collection and pushed towards Meta's behavioral ad system. Meta disagrees, however, asserting its policies excited EU requirements. Not just that, India's tribunal temporarily suspended a data sharing ban between WhatsApp and Meta, giving relief to the tech giants in its largest market of 500 million WhatsApp users. India's tribunal are judicial body established to resolve specific type of administrative disputes. Critics argue that Meta prioritizes profit over consumer privacy globally.
The UK's Competition and Markets Authority, CMA, launched an investigation into Apple and Google's control over smartphone operating system, app stores and browsers. The CMA aims to determine whether their dominance stifles innovation or forces developers into unfair agreements. Nearly all UK smartphones are either Apple's iOS or Google's Android. Apple defends its ecosystem, claiming it supports job and innovation, while Google highlights Android's openness as beneficial. The investigation seeks to ensure fair competition and boost opportunities for developers and users alike in the mobile ecosystem.
Nigerians are facing yet another blow to their wallets as the government approved a 50% increase in mobile phone tariffs. Now, this comes amidst a severe cost of living crisis, with inflation soaring to a nearly 30-year high. The hike, while aimed at improving service quality, has sparked outrage among citizens already struggling to make ends meet. Traders expressed concerns, stating that the increase would either burden their already strained finances. However, telecom operators argue that the hike is necessary for the sector's survival and to maintain service quality.
And moving to sports now, Bruno Fernandes marked his 50th Europa League appearance with a stoppage time winner